So it's a pleasure to be here. I've been here for the last 2 days, and what a pleasure it has been to meet your faculty and your administration. They're all wonderful people, and they have your interest in mind, which I really appreciate because such team is essential for a good school to move forward and a good college to move forward. And you guys have a great team. In the 2 weeks, the 2 days that I was with the faculty and students, MA students, we studied about leadership theory and organizational management on the first day. That was a learning experience for many. On the second day, we talked about learning management systems and how we can learn through the internet. Some people call it e-learning, some people call it online education, some people call it virtual learning. Of course, you have the Indian university call it distance learning. And be as it may, I think the government is requiring institutions to become more competent as well as more equipped in that area. So we talked a lot about one particular software called Moodle. However, here at TETSO, we are using a system called Google Classroom, which is fantastic. And I found out that the students are all very conversant in this platform. We're just trying to organize it so that they can maximize and optimize their use of that platform. So having said that, we'll study abroad has so many implications for so many people in so many different directions. And you must not limit yourself. Once you put your heart and soul to it, you're always going to find the doorways and the pathways. You should be bullish about this because just because there is a hindrance does not mean that the opportunity is not there. But if you keep pressing on, you'll find the next alternative and the next alternative, and it'll be to your benefit. So having said that, let's go into study abroad. Asia. Vietnam has got some great schools, whether it's in Ho Chi Minh City or Hanoi. I've been to both the cities, and their education is not terribly bad at all. Vietnam is known for technology education. And apart from USA and European sector, their technology sector is mushrooming like you won't believe. It is not expensive at all. The only challenge is to find a university that has English speaking as part of it. Some of them, they have English speaking divisions. So the one that I went to called FPT University, they have an English division. And many technology students go to that university, and it's fairly inexpensive. Then you have China. Like I said, in China you've got lots of institutions in Chinese. I've been to Beijing and down to Shanghai, Sichuan, Xi'an, these regions, and they also have English-speaking institutions. And Chinese education is very inexpensive comparatively. A lot of Indian students that are doing the medical, they go to China because it's harder to get into medical school in the United States. So, but there is a university called Wuhan. Wuhan is the Harvard of China, and it's in the southern region, close to Hong Kong, and they have an international campus where professors from all over the world come and teach there. Wuhan is a great place to consider in your future if you ever decide to go there. Then in South Korea, particularly in Seoul, there are many universities there that are English-speaking universities. One particular one is called Handong University. Handong. Handong is a Christian university, so it'll be compatible with many of you. And their cost also is more expensive than Vietnam and more expensive than China, but it's not a bad place to go to. But there are many, the Seoul Women's University is very well known. The Women's University of Seoul, produces some of the best students that come to our university in the United States. So Seoul is a good place to go. Then you have Japan. Japan, they have some institutions there. Most of the Japanese institutions are run in Japanese, but there is one that I know of called Tokyo Christian University. Then Thailand, there are universities everywhere in Thailand, but the one that my daughter is studying in, they teach everything in English, particularly for the international division. And for you, it would be appropriate because to learn Thai and go to a Thai university, that's difficult. So Prince Songkla University is what you're considering. Prince Songkla University is everywhere, but based on the fields of disciplines, you either end up in Chiang Mai or in Bangkok or in Phuket. Okay, let's go to Europe. Our ma'am studied in Germany, so she would know what's going on in Germany. Germany provides a lot of scholarships, so you can competitively apply for the scholarships. And the thing that you have to come up with mostly is your housing in Germany. So they have, in some institutions, you do have to learn German, but there are institutions where you don't have to have German language. So you have to look into an institution of that sort. But the cost is not too bad. And I would say the same of Norway. They also give lots of scholarship on the tuition side. It may be free, but you still have to come up with your living expenses. And living expenses can range from $8,000 US per year to $12,000 to $15,000 per year. Okay, so you think of it that way. And then, of course, England is one of the most expensive places to go. So I would veer you away from England. Finland is known for its education, hands down. So they also provide a lot of scholarships. If you go into Finland institutions, they will give the full ride, including housing. So, and then they also have the English division in Finland that you want to consider. Scotland, University of Edinburgh is a very well-known institution. It's a beautiful campus. North America, of course, I'm biased about USA because it's where I am. I'll talk a little bit more about that. Canadian universities also provide a hefty sum of scholarships if you're ever interested in that. But Canadian government is very liberal in its orientation. That it says nothing except that they're very open to the international peoples of the world. They will make sure that you're successful, and they would make it possible for immigration to happen very quickly. Mexico education is very inexpensive, but it's a big city. And there are a lot of things going on in culture that, unless you're familiar with, you could get entangled in it. Gang activity is pretty bad in Mexico area, but it's a beautiful, beautiful country. Cancun and a few other places. So that gives you some of the overview. Australia is one of the most expensive educational institutions, So if you're thinking Melbourne, you have to have scholarship, otherwise it will be possible. It's more expensive than USA too. Brisbane and Perth. Brisbane is a beautiful area. Up there are many colleges in towns like Newcastle or Taronga and things like that. My brother had gone to the Newcastle area. My brother is passed away now, but he enjoyed being in one of the institutions there. It's in the Great Coral Reef region, and it's hot as ever. So if you're going to enjoy being in hot weather, then that's where you need to be. So that's Melbourne. Of course, South America. I will not talk much about all of these, but I will say that Nigeria, in Ibadan, the University of Ibadan, it has got lots of international students. And I know professors from there who are recruited to teach in universities in the United States, but they are very, very cheap. I mean, it's cheaper than even China. Okay, in the US then, in the Northeast, you go to places like Washington, D.C. or New York, lots of places to see. Then in the South, you want to go to places like Atlanta, Miami, Orlando, Nashville. These are great places to go to. Then in Midwest, you have Chicago, Arizona, South Dakota. These are very great places to go to. I studied in Chicago I lived in Chicago for 10 years. So it's a beautiful city. And then you have your West Coast, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Hollywood, and Seattle. And I've been to every city here, and the most beautiful of them is Seattle and San Francisco. We'll go to New York City, go to some of these places to tour. We'll go to Washington, D.C. and go to some of these places, and I'll go with you all to visit. We'll do a lot of fun things together. And, we will also try to watch an NBA basketball game, professional team. You'll watch a Broadway show in New York City. We'll try to eat in Chinatown, where tons of great food is there. Then we will also attend a music concert. It could be a rock and roll concert. And then you'll visit the Smithsonian Science Museum, which is amazing. And then you'll visit university campuses. So think about it. There is cost involved, but I can talk to your leaders about that. Okay, and then, okay, hold on a minute. Let me just finish up this part. And then 10 seats available. Apply for your passport. Some of you, that may not be possible anymore because you are kind of late. Or maybe not. Apply anyway. We'll apply for B1 visa, and I'll tell you how to apply for that. If you're going, I'll write you sponsor letters so that the government knows that you're going to be accounted for by quantum. Then you have financial details to be determined. It's for students, student parents, faculty, and staff. An interested person should see me after the presentation. And Mr. Kivolo has a sheet of paper that you need to fill out your names. I need your information if you're interested in study abroad or if you're interested in summer program, because we can do this in several summers. But I wanted to introduce this to you if you wanted to come along. And I shall be your personal guide to places that will be fantastic for you, okay? Only 10 seats. If there are many more demands, we'll consider more than 10. But there are already people who have been asking me about this, so we will go to that. So let's take a few moments, and there will be a sheet coming your way. I would like for you guys to fill your name in and express your area of interest, and I can communicate with you directly. So with regards to this summer trip, I will be back here in town in May, and I'll give you orientation as to what needs to happen in preparation for the journey. Because there is a cross-cultural dimension orientation that needs to happen, and also there has to be some education about American legal system and American policing systems so that you're aware of your protection, but also how to protect yourself with medicines for your journey and so on and so forth, and how to dress up, okay? And I know the administration is thinking about a trip to Asia as well, which is fantastic. There are many ways in which those things can be facilitated, but right now we want the experience to be positive for you in going to the United States. No more questions? Yes?
You say that the quality of education is better abroad compared to India, or
Quality of education really depends on the credentialing. No? Whoever is teaching must be well trained, number one. Number two is that institution should have a library collection that provides you with all of the resources necessary. Your technology infrastructure should be strong with electronic journals and all of that. Your field experience opportunities must be varied in so many ways to strengthen your learning. Then you have the campus experience, whether it's the cafeteria experience, whether it's the housing experience, or whether it's the student club experiences. Now, you make judgments based on that. Is the quality better where there's more of these or less of these? And I think you may have more of these, but it may not be managed well. So it can be very bad. You know what I mean? You can have less of these, but it's managed well. So it can be fantastic. So you are always monitoring these things. And I cannot make a judgment that one country is better than the other. But I will say that in the US, one of the things that's positive about it is that they have invested gobs of money to excel in certain areas. And so you want to, engage in that realm. That way, at least you have had an opportunity to engage with that kind of a scenario. I've been to U.S. institutions that are very poorly managed, and that's very sad because students are paying so much money. Why waste it? And so we will know which institution is the proper place for you, so that the quality of education will be as well received by you as well. Okay? So that's a roundabout way of saying the answer is not precise. Okay. Any other questions? Well, that's a good question, though. I think that's wonderful.
Suppose one more. What
Yeah.
What do you think is the biggest advantage of studying abroad?
Say it again.
What according to you, do you think is the biggest advantage of studying abroad?
I think there is plenty of advantages because I think when we are local, our worldview is shaped by our enculturation. And that's fantastic. But when you study outside of your context, number one, you have traveled cross-culturally. That takes a whole lot of dimensions of development to enter into a cross-cultural experience. That means that you have to mature in your thinking, you have to be mature in your intellectual capabilities, you have to know how to navigate the culture. So that means your education capacity has been expanded and broadened. Now, when you, the advantage of studying abroad, then all of a sudden you are encountering multiple cultures. When you encounter multiple cultures, then you all of a sudden your worldview has been broadened even more. In the midst of all of that, then you are encountering people in the fields that are very well trained and have earned such accolades that they're giving you some of the best material that they could give you. I think India has a lot of very interesting textures that Americans don't have. Number one is the communal aspect of India. India is very strong. We depend on one another. Our friendships matter. And therefore, when we build trust that way, you are going to be tight for a long time. No? In America, you don't see like that, where it's very individualistic. And therefore, you know, hey, don't come close to me. This is my private space, you know? This is my man cave. Don't come close by. So there is some, you know, some kind of separation there. So that is good here. Number two is our index of living here is so much cheaper. And our index of living is something that is an envy of the peoples of the world. Number three is that we have a simple life. And that means that we can, you know, we talk about survival of the fittest in the Wall Street, jungle. But here, you know your clans and your village cultures and your relationships and your ability to survive here and be resourceful is fantastic. So what you have learned here can never be replaced, but you're adding on to it. Okay? That's who I am. That's why I come back.